Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. I just wanted to apologize. I haven't dropped a video for a few days. I had some. I actually deleted 2 of them. I realized that there was no way they were going to make it onto YouTube, just because of the subject matter and stuff. And then we've been dealing with the loss of our dog, our beloved dog. It's been very hard. It was kind of a sudden thing the other day that happened, and we've been dealing with that. And that was my hiking buddy. He was my best friend, and it was my wife's best friend. He cuddled with her all the time and was like her shadow. And so it's been hard. You realize when you get close to a pet that they're better than humans. They actually, what Yeshua was trying to teach, unconditional love, and just all of his teachings of the higher levels of relationship and everything, and how to treat each other. And dogs actually embody that. Now, I'm not a cat person. I've never had a cat, but I assume cats can be the same. But I guess I'm basically talking about dogs here. But so it's hard, But life moves on. We did bring home a rescue puppy here too, so I've been dealing with that, trying to potty train and train a brand new puppy and get her. She's pretty skinny, so we've been trying to get her fattened back up. And she came from a litter that was abandoned in Georgia. I guess the owners, they took the mom and the puppies and just dumped them out in a park, and so they were living feral for a little while before they were all rescued. So she's a good little puppy. She's really loving, and has been through a hard time. So I've been devoting a lot of my free time when I haven't been at work to just dealing with grief and dealing with training a new puppy. And so so I'm sorry guys. I know some of you would like to probably hear me more regularly, and a lot of times I've been a lot better lately. Before this last week, I was pumping out 4 or 5 videos a week. So, but sometimes things come up, and then some of the videos I did make, I realized they weren't going to make the cut on YouTube. And today the subject we're talking about is one of the videos. I actually made a video, but now it's been kind of good because some more information's come out and had a little more time to think about it and look at things from all angles. But we're gonna have to read. You guys are gonna have to read between the lines a lot on this video, okay? Because of the censorship of our words and ideas and everything, it's gonna be hard to get this video to go through. But we're going to try our best. So, and what am I talking about? Well, we're talking about this whole Ep Island thing, right? And the evidence. And the other day, Trump was having a cabinet meeting, and his AG, Pam Bondi, was, they asked about the whole situation, right? About the case. And because they just, like a day before that, Axios leaked a memorandum saying that basically, look, there's no evidence that Epstein, it was all just for him. There's no lists. I guess apparently now the flight logs, they're just acting like it was all just make-believe, that it was just one dude that had an issue, right, with stuff on the internet you shouldn't be looking at, right? And that he had thousands of hours of videos that were just he downloaded. Right? And that's it. They're done. There's no more evidence. He offed himself, and no conspiracy going on, right? And you guys have seen some of my videos I did in the past about breaking down that it was a honeypot operation, right? And ultimately now we can start seeing that these rogue agencies are even greater than the president and his cabinet. I mean, we've seen all Bongino's talks, right? And Kash Patel's talks, and how they're all gonna, expose this. If they were the ones in there, they would expose it. And, I was just watching a clip of Kash Patel breaking down how, who's holding up the information being released and all this and that. And then what do you know? He's in there now. And they had that interview, what was that, about a month ago? And him and Bongino are sitting there and their eyes are all wide and totally uncomfortable. I mean, they couldn't even pass a lie detector test the way that they were acting. It was so obvious. And they were just saying, oh, yeah, yep, we've seen the evidence. Yep, nobody took him out. He did it himself, and this and that. You could tell they're lying. I mean, obviously lying. And when Bondi answered the question from the reporter, when, of course, Trump jumped in there, he got all upset. You guys still talking about this guy? And why do you care about him? We have other things to worry about, right? Well, look, these guys they all know each other, okay? Like George Carlin said, it's a big club and you ain't in it. Look, all these people rubbed elbows together. I'm not saying Kash Patel and Bongino with the EP, right? And with Trump. But Trump and Epp and all these, these millionaires and stuff, right? They all rub elbows. They all know each other. They all know each other's dark and dirty secrets. So for them, this is no big deal. Yeah, so whatever. This is the world that we live in, right? I'm not talking us. I'm speaking for Trump. That's the world that he grew up in, living in. Like, you're that rich and famous. You're rubbing elbows with these celebrities, with these financiers, with these, CEOs, with these tech moguls, with these, political, political players, either judges, lawyers, politicians. They just know that that's that world. That these people are above the law. They do whatever drugs they want to. They do sexually whatever they want to. And they get away with whatever they want to. Because they got the money and the power and the influence to get out of whatever they get into. Look, folks, Epp was charged multiple times. And every time he was let out with a slap on the wrist. And guess who was the Florida AG? Pam Bondi. So, look, she knew. She even had access to a lot of this stuff before, she became the cabinet AG, the federal AG. When she was still the state AG, she had access to all this. She knows damn well. They all do. But they protect their own, folks, and you're not one of them. See, it's not your concern what they do or what their friends do. And we could go even deeper with this, right? That the strings are always being pulled from behind the shadows through their human agents, right? We call them the elites, right? I realized the other day when I was thinking of Elohim, right? The the supreme God, the Elohim, the gods, right? And when I was doing my whole teaching about the Garden of Eden, right? That Elohim is not God or the Trinity. It's the gods. It's the Anunnaki, the Anuna, the Watchers. And then I thought about this, how they're called the elites. And we always say who runs the world? The elite run the world, the elites. Think about this, folks. The L-ites. The L-ites. It's the L-ites. And they're human agents. And some could say that some of these human agents are their blood relatives. Because, look, folks, in the cuneiform and in the Bible and in the book of Enoch, it talks about how the angels, the watchers, the Anuna, had relations with human women and human men. Look, in the cuneiform, it's not just the men. It's not the sons of God. The angels are all men. No. There's the female angels also. In the Anuna pantheon, you've got Ninmah, the mother, almost similar to Hathor in Egypt, the fertility birthing goddess. You got Inanna, goddess of war and fertility and love, right? Similar to Isis in the Egyptian pantheon. Look, these same characters, archetypes, are represented by all the ancient, the quote unquote mythologies, right? Greek, Roman, Egyptian, Sumerian, and all the way down, through the Hittites, the Phoenicians, the Canaanites, the Babylonians. It's all the same characters, folks. But some of them had human, I don't know if you want to call them concubines or what, but they passed on, not just, we all have their genetics in us, folks, when they hybridized Adam and Eve, but later on, those same Elohim, those Anuna, also took on human concubines and had, later on, he mixed their blood in with the human race even more. And that there are these certain bloodlines that have been protected since that time that became the agents of the Elohim. Because now they were blood, they shared blood with them. They weren't full, but they had more than us, right? We had their DNA, they have their blood and DNA. Specific bloodlines. Folks, just so you know, the Anuna, they are the royal. They're the royals of the Anunnaki, okay? The Agigi were the working class. The Anunnaki, the Anuna, were the royal class. So just understand that. Sometimes people say, oh, Anunnaki doesn't mean from heaven to earth they came. It means the princely seed. Folks, what do you think princely seed stands for? It means royal bloodline. Think about it. Come on. So now we have these Elites still managing their human puppets and possibly blood relatives from behind the scenes. And they play games of war with each other, fighting over territory, over peoples, over influence and power. They still use Earth as their chessboard and humans as their pawns. And anybody that has looked with just a little bit of effort at the whole EP situation, the jet, right? The express, the L Express, right? I can't say that first word. And the EP Island, and remember the Babylonian temple on the island, folks? Remember that? The little miniature Babylonian temple on the island, right? Where he had all the parties and invited all these celebrities and all these other rich financiers and politicians and CEOs and musicians and actors and on and on and on, right? All of his buddies. Like I said, like the people Trump used to hang out and party with. Now look, guys, I'm not sitting here saying that Trump is one of the bad guys, okay? He's done a lot of good. But let's be real about all this. See, to them, what these Elites do in the in their own world, from the prying eyes of the serfs, the regular common man, the public, is not our concern. They live with separate rules within us, separate laws, and because there is no laws for them. Look, one of these famous lawyers that helped Trump with some of his court cases over the last few years, He was a regular on the express. Yeah, on that plane. See, they're all the one and the same, folks. The lawyers, the judges. And I've already, how can I put this very gently? I think I've in videos kind of mentioned that there's this underlying connection between a high percentage of your politicians and your lawyers and your judges and your CEOs of food companies, media companies, the music industry. There's an underlying connection. You have a very small percentage of these people, right, that worship the devil, the Old Testament God, Enlil, called Yahweh. And it just so happens that this small percentage of people control a large percentage of these positions. Or they bow down to those people, right? We all know what we're talking about, right? Dual citizens, right? We know what country we're talking about, right? Well, guess why the whole Ep Island and all this thing got blown up and it disappeared? Look, folks, they all acted like now it was just like Maxwell and Epstein all by themselves, right? Like, yeah, they were just doing their little thing. They had a few friends here and there. Nah. They're trying to make us forget the fact that these people were throwing high-level parties all the time, and that he had a mansion in New York, he had the island, he had places in other states too. So this was going on all over the place. Folks. And when do you notice? It's those people that worship Yahweh that always seem to be in all of these positions of power and such. Right? Well, that's the connection, and that's why it got shut down. That's why all of a sudden they're going to pretend like nothing ever happened. Well, it's because a large amount of our politicians are subservient to that group that we're talking about. And their propagandists are embedded in all the news agencies. They're embedded in the music industry and the movie industry. You know, remember how, look, the good thing is people don't worship these celebrities like they used to. Back in the 90s and 2000s, it's like, my God, the obsession with celebrities was insane, right? Well, if you look at these celebrities, these actors, guess what most of them are? At least a high percentage of them. And guess what the movie directors, what they are, if you look at a high percentage of them. And look what the CEOs of these entertainment industries are a high percentage of. And then you start to realize, folks, that the children of Yahweh have always run our world. And they run it evil. They run it under the influence of evil and darkness and negativity. Right? Look, I've always been a fan of rap, right? From way back in the days, Tupac, Bone Thugs, all that kind of stuff, right? And I listened to interviews with Tupac when he was calling out the Illuminati, and the people that rule this world. I listened to interviews of, other rappers that have come out, and they said that those people control the music industry. Who do you think pushed the gangster rap in this culture to destroy the black community? Right? And guess who owns most of the prisons? The private for-profit prisons. The NWA members were coming out talking about this, right? Ice Cube and them, long time ago. And look what happened to Ye. Yeah, right? Kanye, right? When he came out, they stripped him of everything. I'm telling you, folks, those that still believe that Enlil, Yahweh, is the creator of all, and he's a beneficial, loving, kind God, right? A just God. You've all been played. And I think the proof's in the pudding. Just look at his chosen ones and what they perpetrate. and what they do. And it's no reason why now every nation throughout time has tried to expel them. I mean, Tel Aviv is one of the most sickest, decrepit cities on earth. It has the highest percentage of you-know-what, of people that like to be with the same type of people, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? And they push that culture wherever they go. Their banking system that they brought from Babylon when they were in captivity, they use that system to enslave nations, to enslave people, enslave governments. And then when that don't work, they set up these honeypots after they've infiltrated their agents into intelligence agencies and stuff, and into their governments and into the judicial system. Look, we all know what most of your lawyers are, right? And your judges. They're these people. Why? Why is that? Well, why not? If you have your people embedded in all these powerful positions, and the judicial and intelligence and all that, and in the lawmaking, now you control that nation. And then if you also control the banking, you also control that nation through debt slavery. I think we're starting to really see this all, folks, for what it really is. And look at all of the states pushing laws saying you can't talk about these protected people. And why is that? Why would people be so mad at these people? Like I said, look, Maxwell, her dad, was Mossad. He was the head of Mossad at one point. She's obviously connected with intelligence. She's obviously connected to Mossad. And her boy toy, Ep, he may not have been Mossad, but he was more than likely working as a double agent for our own intelligence agency. And then, of course, you had Prince Andrew, they're best friends with him. And guess what? MI6 was probably involved in it too. So what you had was a honeypot operation run by these intelligence agencies. Look, it doesn't mean that Epp was the one collecting all the evidence on people. He was just throwing the parties and bringing the people in and using it to his advantage for his own sick desires because he thought he was untouchable. But they were the ones using his compounds, his places and everything to collect the blackmail. You see what I'm saying? Like, so that's where they can sit here and say, oh, well, these videos were just his. Well, for one, we know, like, think about it, thousands of hours of videos of this stuff. You know it was the people, right? Some of those, at least, were the ones having the services, right? These powerful people that they're protecting. But he didn't have to be the one collecting all this stuff. He just had to be the conduit and allow them to be the ones to run the surveillance and collect the data, the blackmail. And this is also a way that you run a nation, right? That you rule it, that you control it. Well, you blackmail all their politicians, right? You blackmail them all. Now you control the actions of those politicians and those powerful people and their decision making, because they're not going to rock the boat, because they don't want all that to get let out, destroy their marriage, destroy their family, lose everything, their job possibly, right? Is it all starting to make sense, folks? Like, look, it's all one big dirty game, and you're just a pawn in this. Okay, you're not allowed to know what these people do. Okay, they do their own thing. They're all friends. They all know what each other does. Like, look, all that tough talk between Hillary and Trump. Remember that? Look, Hillary and Trump have the same friends. Okay? They all hang out with the same people. They all know what each other does. Look, Hillary knows probably some of Trump's dark secrets, and guess what? Trump knows Hillary and Bill's dark secrets. That's how this whole game works, folks. Okay? The problem is that you're a serf. You're not meant to know this stuff. You're just meant to obey orders, to work, right? To pay taxes so that they can use your tax money to run these operations. So they can also launder money and control politicians. So when you elect an official, you elect a congressman, and you expect that congressman, he comes out big, bold, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to fix this, and they may have a true heart in that. But then your tax money gets used to run these operations. They get invited to the party, rub elbows with these famous people, these powerful people. And next thing you know, hey, have some of this, drink some of that, snort some of this. Oh, and then by the end of the night, they're bombed out. Oh, guess what? We set you up with a bedroom up there, and there's somebody wait there to attend you. And we're recording it, and now we own you. Now we blackmail you. See how it all works, folks? We're all being deceived. We're all being tricked. And you're not allowed to know this stuff. Because guess what? You're not like these people. You're not allowed to know what these people know. Okay? You're just a pawn. Wow, we got quite the deal going on here at my work. Oh my God. We got like semis parked everywhere, all which way, not knowing what the heck's going on here. Total mayhem here at work, folks. So, I don't know. We didn't even need to get into the details of all this stuff. Look, folks, this is why it's all being swept away. It's because if they let all this stuff out, now that your politicians have been blackmailed and are controlled, and your vote means nothing, and your tax money's paying for this stuff. So it's the most disgusting thing you can imagine, right? That they take your rights away, they take your votes away, they control your elected officials with your tax money, right? And you're left with nothing. And they can get away with whatever they want. If you did even a fraction of what these people do, you would be in prison for life. But see, the Elites, they protect their own. And it's just the way it is, folks. I'm sorry. I'd like to say, trust the plan, right? Yeah, trust the plan. They're going to take down all these people, and they're going to, they're not going to do nothing, folks. They're not taking down anybody. Why would they do that? That's how they launder our money. That's how they push these despicable laws that strip your rights. And that's how they work on bringing in their one world government, right? Is through subterfuge. And it just so happens that every time you look at the bottom of every rabbit hole, you see Yahweh's children. Yeah, and Lil's children. Every single time. Every single time. Every single time, folks. It's always them. And I forgot to mention, too, a lot of them are doctors, too. Remember the mRNA? Remember how hard that was all getting pushed? Why do you think so many doctors were so willing to push that on everybody, huh? Right? You get it yet? Are you getting it yet? I know this is politically incorrect about what I'm talking about, but let's be real, folks. This is the reality that we're faced with. And if we don't look at the truth, we'll never get out of this quagmire of deceit and lies and corruption. So, anyways, folks, I think we kept this vague enough. I should be able to drop this video today. This is, what is this, Thursday? Yeah, this is Thursday. So, dang, it's been about a week since I've dropped a video. So, this one I'm going to definitely upload today. We'll see if it flies. I might have some kind of vague heading for the name for this, and I don't even know what kind of thumbnail I'm going to do for this video, but you know, it look, folks, the only way to fix all this is we have got to wake up the right and the left to unify against the ruling elites, okay? That's the only way. We got to get rid of these agencies. There should be no agencies working with our tax money against the people, okay? It should be abolished. It has done nothing. These agencies have done nothing but start wars, protect corrupt people, and use it as a cover to run trafficking, of people and drugs and such around the world. That's all it's ever been. Look, I'm not saying your basic low-level agent is all involved in this, okay, folks? Obviously, just like the Masons and these other, it's not just your basic, people running the charities and all that stuff. It's not your basic agents going out there after regular crimes, right? Murder crimes and stuff like that. No. These are the ones at the top. A lot of times they're unelected, and they get placed there, and they stay there through from one presidency after another, no matter who's running the helm, right? And they continue to build their underground network and their system to undermine the nation, the peoples, and the presidency. This is how it's been for quite a while. I mean, we could go back to JFK. It's been powerful for quite a while. We could go back to what Eisenhower talked about, right? See, when he was talking about the military-industrial complex, he wasn't just talking about the actual military. He was talking about the intelligence agencies, too. So we got to realize all this, folks. It's time to wise up, man. Look, they get away with this stuff because we allow it. That's why. And we don't hold anybody accountable. I mean, I could already tell you what old, George, Washington and Thomas Jefferson would have already been doing by now. But here we are paying like 90% more taxes. We're run by an international banking cartel of the, Yahweh children, and enslaved by them in debt slavery, through the Rothschild banking out of the city of London. We're owned by London again through the banking, through their surrogates over there. And most of our rights that were established have been stripped, or at least degraded heavily, right? Weakened heavily. And we're ruled by sick, disgusting people. Criminals. A criminal cabal of people that all work together against us. And the ones that aren't bad, that aren't criminals, they blackmail and to control so that they still get their way. That's just the way it is. Honest, straightforward truth. So, anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and go. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. If you're interested in doing a one-on-one Zoom, hit me up. The details are in the description of the video. And just look, folks, this is why we got to keep awakening each other, right? That's my positive out here, is like, we got to just keep awakening people. The more people we get to understand all this, we can create a tsunami of people, right and left, to shut this crap down and to put an end to all this. But we need enough people. There's too many sleepers still, too many zombies, right? Just people are just ignorant, lazy, don't care, indifferent. And this is why we've gotten to this point, okay? So, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I'll talk to you later.